Oh
All
yeah.
right, you guys.
All right.
Uno más cerveza.
I'm waiting for it now.
Negative, nothing further. Just take Cammy on the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are roll call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. Today is Thursday, August the 7th. I'm here with a few of my friends. I got Tyrone, I got Will, I got D, I got Derek, I got Will, Cheech, I got Jerry, I got Dave, Jim, Rich, Mark, and AC. Listen, I'm in a vacation mode. I forgot we were supposed to be on the show. That's why we're a few minutes late with songs. I apologize for that. But Derek's going to lead us today in our show. Before we get started, we're going to have a moment of silence. All right, D, thank you for that work, man. That's some good stuff there, man. Seriously. And I know you didn't do that over a few seconds, but thank you for putting the time in to put that together for us. We're gonna have the disclaimer coming from Cheech and then the statement of purpose coming from Rich.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Before we get started, we wanted to go over a couple of things with you. First, I want to let you know that the statements and concerns made by members and guests of roll call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be legal advice or recommendation or suggestions. Please remember that the law change from state to state, city to city, village to village. So consult with a local attorney or your local police department for any legal advice. Also, in order to spark our conversations, we do use and display videos or photographs, some of which may be graphic in nature. They are not intended to offend anybody. We get these from social media like YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. So you do have access to them. They are not the property of roll call. One of our members will let you know if any of these videos or photographs are graphic, so that you may turn away or not watch or listen if you want. Also, we want to let you know that the language used by our members is very spontaneous. It comes from the heart. We all speak our truths. We don't hold back. Sometimes you'll see that we don't agree amongst each other, but we don't take it personal. So we hope you don't take anything personal. We also ask you to join in on the conversation by asking any questions or statements, comments on the chat on Facebook, and one of us will try to get to it at some point. Thank you. Rich?
No, thank you, Cheech. Welcome, welcome. We are Roll Call Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. We're a pro-law enforcement group. We're for equitable policing. We're against racism. And Black and Brown lives matter. We're glad you're here with us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you both, Cheech and Rich. Thank you so much. I sent you guys a text. You guys read my text and know what's going on. But listen, Derek is going to get us started and Derek's going to host us on today. And those, Will, you going to monitor the chat for us as well? All right. All right, Derek, it's in your hands, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. For the people that were shown at the beginning, the people that passed, and I believe that all of them passed in the line of duty. The last gentleman that was shown was from the Tulsa Police Department, and he was one of the stars of the First 48, the TV show. So I don't know what his name is, but D, if you could just text me his name, I'd like to look that up just so I could see what happened with him. I've been watching him on television for years. So yeah, so very, very sad. You know, it's always sad. It's highly unusual for it to be someone that we actually recognize. And I don't know if any of us on here, you know, I know Donald has experienced working and knowing someone that's gotten killed in the line of duty. I don't know if the rest of us have, but it's a horrible, horrible ordeal, all involved. Yep. And D, if you have a video to get us started, that would be great, sir.
I certainly do. First video we want to show is there was a shooting this week at Fort Stewart in Georgia. 5 soldiers got hurt. Let's take a look.
We continue following breaking news out of South Georgia, where a sergeant is accused of shooting 5 fellow soldiers this morning at Fort Stewart.
We are now getting a first look at the suspected shooter. This is a photo of 28-year-old Cornelius Radford from a previous arrest in Liberty County, Georgia. This from May. Army leaders say other troops tackled Radford after he started shooting. Zach Wilcox is reporting on what else we've learned so far today.
We now know the name of the suspect, Sergeant Cornelius Radford, for the shooting that injured 5 people at Fort Stewart behind me here. This is the front gate. I'll step out here as I give you some more of the details that you can look as cars start to matriculate their way back onto the base after it was locked down for several hours earlier this morning and into the early afternoon. We found out from a commander general of the base that Sergeant Radford worked at an annex at the farthest part of the base from where we are now, really way up at the north end, and that the shooting involved where he worked on the base and people that he worked with. However, they would not go into any kind of motive. That's still under investigation at this point. But the 5 injured, we know that 3 were taken. They needed some sort of surgery after the shooting, but all 5 are expected to recover and their families have been notified at this point. And the Commander General gave us an update as to what's going to be going on next.
Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. Right now, our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade.
I asked after the briefing if Sergeant Radford had any injuries from the shooting, and they said that that is unclear at this point. You can see that the front gate here to Fort Stewart has reopened, and all those lockdowns have been lifted. At Fort Stewart, Zach Wilcox.
Right. Do we have anyone that has any commentary pertaining to this? No? Okay, well,
I'll start. I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Rich.
You know, this is one of the situations that there's not enough facts to actually, you know, really talk about the issue, what's going on. The motivation is unknown. The other shootings we've had on bases have been more terrorist attack type of situation. This one, I really don't know what the motivation was. I mean, I think there's rumors of some kind of racial incident. He just wanted to shoot the first person he shot. Good thing was he had a 9mm, so that meant the survivability was great. We just got 5 guys injured, 5 dead. If he had a long rifle, it might have been a different story. So it's a sad event. Nonetheless, he was a sergeant. I'm assuming he loved his country, and he had some kind of problem there. So, who even knows whether it could have been a PTSD situation? I don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns, and you hear the news and just, trying to figure out what's going on when they don't have facts. So I guess when more information comes, we'll know more about what happened with this.
Excellent. Well said, Rich. And next up, we will have Will, Dave, and then D.
I guess I'm probably like everybody else. I got more questions right now than anything. But for me, as I understand about going on to a military base, unless your specific duty involves carrying a gun, most of the personnel on the base don't walk around with guns. So he managed to be on base with a weapon and shot 5 people, even though it was a 9mm. I am pleasantly surprised, but curiously surprised that there was not a fatality, given that he's got military training, access to a weapon. And while we don't know where he was set up or how these shootings took place, whether or not he was from an elevated position or if he was sniping them but with a handgun, but it would suggest that he was kind of up close and personal. So I'm really curious as to see when the facts come out about what led up to all of this.
Right, and the one fact that I did hear was that it was his firearm. So, maybe he concealed it until he got close to the people that he felt were his targets, but it wasn't a service issued firearm. It was his firearm.
Can you just get on the base with a firearm like that unless you're actually in official capacity?
You can.
No.
You can. They don't check every vehicle.
They don't check every vehicle, man.
And so let's say, for instance, you're on base housing. Can you have a weapon in on base housing? So you're already inside the gate.
No, that has to go to the Army and be secured. If you have your own personal weapon, it has to be secured on the base. Not in your room.
So either he brought it on base and wasn't checked, or all right, got it.
Or he lived off the base and he would come in and go to work. His gun could be in the car. They don't search every car going through, and then he's in the base with a gun.
Right.
It's a 9. You can put it on. Yeah.
And are you walking through metal detectors and stuff? If you work there, you're not walking through metal detectors, right?
No,
evidently not.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Dave, you're muted, Dave.
Yeah. We got a couple of guys on here with military and Rich and everybody, and you guys go through a lot, man. Either home, at home base or when you get shipped away somewhere. You guys are going through some stressful stuff, and we don't know what this young man was going through at home or whatever, and we don't know what he's going through at work. We don't know. And my point I'm trying to make here: will we ever know the truth with this Trump administration and this with this administration and this defense secretary and everybody? Will we even know the truth if he was going through some hard shit down at that base? We don't know. And I don't know if they're going to tell us the truth. What they will tell us is his ass is going away for a long time, and they're going to convict him. That's that. Not to get off the subject, but it's the same kind of shit. I'm just tired of the lies, man. Just tell everybody the truth. Tell the victims' families, even though 3 of them went home today, thank God. Tell their families the truth of what happened and why it happened. Okay, they want to be. They have investigators there. Do it the right way. Just tell the people the truth. They did that shit last time with when Pat Tillman got killed over there got killed in Afghanistan, and McChrystal lied to the kid's mother. that it was enemy fire and it was friendly fire that killed the man after she started her own investigation? Just tell people the fucking truth. Okay, tell the victims guys who got shot, their families, and whatever this young man was going through, the sergeant, tell the damn truth to his family. You know, it's like pulling teeth to find out. You know, this is why people want independent investigations, because it's pulling teeth to find out. You know, so I'm done.
All right, and Jim has texted into the chat, if it's black on white racial, Trump will gladly tell everyone. And that's a possibility unless this guy was being harassed and retaliated. Then we won't hear that part. But obviously, the truth is not high on the priority list for this administration. So,
no, it's not.
Yep. Next up, we have D.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little different angle at this thing and take this opportunity to talk about 988, the suicide prevention line. And I want to say this: we never know what somebody's going through. You never know. I look around this room, you never know what some people in this room are going through. I say that to say, those of us operating in our lives under the whatever's going on with me is the most important thing. You got to realize that somebody to the right of you or somebody to the left of you could be going through a situation. Now, we're all law enforcement, and I know Rich is former military. And what I do know from dealing with some people in the military, what's similar is you're faced with situations all the time, traumatic situations all the time. And what you got to understand that each and every situation changes you. You take it with you. Whatever just happened from call to call, most of us know. People have this expectation that we're supposed to be nice guys after we just came from a shooting call or an accident call where somebody didn't make it. We're supposed to be nice guys. You got to understand with military, and I'm going to stretch it to law enforcement, you never know what somebody might be going through. And for the public watching, if you're not military and law enforcement, and I said this a few weeks ago, you might have one traumatic situation in your life. One. Most people, the worst, two. It's a study that's been done. I want you to understand police officers might 8-9 times a day go through a traumatic situation. I say that to say police officers don't want to be treated any different. Military guys, come on, Rich, don't want to be treated any different. But sometimes we have to start looking at people. And if there's something off, we got to reach out. We got to reach out to them. People in this room have known sometimes I'll be checking on you. They don't understand what that means. I see something. I see something. Don't have to be right or wrong. Hey, checking on you. They have to get, hey, call me up. You good? Let's get out there. Let's go hang out. Let's do something. We have to have that mindset that people that are going through, we have to be able to recognize it, is what I'm trying to say. And I think this gentleman was sending out cryptic messages. I just read about it. He was sending out messages that didn't, you know, sometimes somebody sends out a little message and let me call him. Let me put eyes on him. Let me put a conversation on him. Maybe there's something we can hear. Maybe we can get over there. You're not going to be able to help everybody. But if we help one person, right? If each one of us help one person, we got an opportunity to not let this stuff happen. There are people like us, law enforcement, and now the military. They have weapons. That's a tool of your job. If you stab yourself with a screwdriver, we don't tell the plumber stop using screwdrivers, right? It's a tool of our job. But we have to understand those people that are at a heightened job where you're always going through traumatic things, it affects you. I think I played that video last week. It affects you. That guy doesn't go home and he's the nice father and he's the great uncle and he goes home with that. He takes that with him. And if anybody did this job like I did, everything that happened, we tell war stories. We call them war stories and we smile and laugh and we have the greatest war stories. Let me explain to you what war stories are. All right, I did AAP for 22 years while I was working. War stories are, I'm taking that with me. I can remember every detail of every traumatic situation that happened to me. And you take that with you and you tell your war stories because you're trying to work it out. You're trying to work it. We all have them. We hear about them every week. Everybody got to tell a war story. We're trying to work them. Let them tell that story. I'm just saying we have to recognize that people in certain positions, we have to look at them with a different eye. And don't be afraid to call somebody's significant other or somebody's good friends. I'm notorious for showing up. And they're like, what you doing here? I just happen to be, it's a whole other state. I just happen to be here. I was going through, and I just wanted to holler at you because I see something or somebody said something to me. And I'll never give you up, right? They'll say, hey, Will call me on Rich. D, what you doing in San Diego? Well, I wanted to see the beach out here. Just because if we take that little effort is what I'm saying, that's what will change somebody that's looking to do something like this. If you show up or you see something or you say something, hey, we have a laugh. Let's go have a cup of coffee. I'm going to sit with Ty and you're like bourbon, right? I'm going to let him drink. I don't drink, but I'm going to sit there and sip on a Pepsi Cola and we're going to hang out together. And I'm going to get just as drunk as he is. Trust me, I can do that.
You're going to drive home, bro.
But just keep an eye on the people around us, the people that have these heavy jobs. Keep an eye on them. And don't be afraid to reach out if you can. That's it.
And up next, we have Ty.
I want to piggyback what D just said because you cannot minimize the importance of a kind word. You never know what a kind word to a stranger may do to him. It may save his life. So it's so much easier to be kind. Getting on bases with a gun, I had an experience a couple years ago at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. I was up there for Thanksgiving, and I got a 3-day pass from my aunt who worked for the Pentagon. She was a budget analyst for the U.S. Army, and she got me a 3-day pass to play golf at Andrews Air Force Base. Beautiful golf courses. After I gave my ID and they background checked me right quick, they saw I was a police officer. They gave me my ID back. They gave me a 3-day pass. Never once did they check me for a gun. Never even asked me if I had my weapon. My gun stays in my golf bag. I have my gun all the time. I was prepared to lock it into a locker if I had to. I said, take care. I got my pass, got my truck, drove to the front gate. The guy looked at my ID, matched to my guest pass. Have a good time, detective. I drove into under the base with my 9mm in my golf bag like it was nothing. And it did 3 days in a row. I mean, they did like Rich said, they don't check the car. They don't check every car. They need some suspicion, I guess, of some sort to check the car because I have my gun on the golf course with me all day. I don't like coyotes. So I'm going to add that.
There's a random check, Ty. I mean, they will pull cars over and do a random check, but it's not every car that goes by. And there's a certain level of trust on the base. Right. The members on the base, there's a certain level of trust. And then with you being a police officer, detective, there was a certain level of trust.
Yeah.
And that's what they build on there on bases. Unless there's some kind of threat. Yeah.
I had access to everything. I went to all the mess halls, officers walking by, choppers going over. It was pretty cool, actually. All right, I just wanted to share that with you guys.
I was stationed there on Andrews. I was there.
That goes along with one of our listeners, Beverly Harrison Wells, says, I went to West Point for a function with officers from her department, and we were not even asked for ID. And then Richard Bowden says, the current administration has nothing to do with the truth coming out. It's the Army. We will not know what comes out in the court martial.
The current administration does have something to fucking do with this Army today. That's why they put that fuck head specs in there. Or Fox News fucking contributor. What the fuck is he talking about, man? Enough of this fucking guy already.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I was actually taking notes as everyone was talking, and the first thing I have on my list are some people are entrusted. They just, they feel that if you know a certain person or if you've reached a certain level, then they can trust you, and they're not going to check you for the most part. The other thing is, or one of the other things is, war stories are a simple way of remembering and reliving the moment. So it is, it's something that's not leaving. It's something that you're definitely remembering it and you're reliving it by telling people about it. And the third thing is, and this may not be something that a lot of people deal with in private sector, but I haven't been in private sector, so they may. But bullying is a really, really big deal. It's very, very prevalent in locations where you have hundreds of people, particularly hundreds of people that aren't like super highly educated. But when you have hundreds of people, and not just working in a location, but sharing a locker room, sharing a bathroom, sharing a lunchroom, there's a lot of bullying that goes on. And sometimes, that drives people over the edge. I've seen some things in the police department that were pretty surprising, like to the point that I didn't know how these guys were coming to work comfortably every day because they were getting bullied so bad. But it's
you make a really good point with that, and particularly in environments where you have a very defined hierarchy and people associate rank with authority and not so much with leadership and responsibility.
Yeah.
And the only thing they got left is throwing that around to get you to understand I'm more important than you are. You do as I say in the story. And unfortunately, law enforcement and military are two such environments.
The bullying that I'm referring to is from people on the same level. People sharing. I mean, I could tell you many stories, but from things like people would buy bottles of baby powder and they would squeeze it up into the vents of someone's locker that they were bullying. So when they come into work to put their uniforms on, everything in their locker is covered with baby powder. I've seen people put plaster casts on people's locks so they can't get in their locker. I've seen people take people's lockers and put them on the train platform in the subway, take them out of the building downstairs to the train platform. And I think the worst thing I've seen is we actually, in District 33, we had a poultry house where you could buy live chickens, turkeys, rabbits, and they kill them on the spot. And, they clean them and whatnot. You take home a fresh animal and cook it. And these guys went to two guys were bullying another guy. They went to a poultry house and they got a rooster. And they came back, they got like a 10-pound plate from the weight room, and they went to his combination lock on his lock, and they just hit the top of the plate, hit the top of the lock with the 10-pound plate, and the lock comes off. But you can still lock it back. It'll come off, but if you put it back, it actually locks again. They unlocked his locker, opened it, and threw this rooster in on a Friday. And the guy came back to work Monday. He came back to work Monday morning. Now, this rooster's been in his locker tearing shit up the whole weekend and shitting all over the place. But when he opened that door to his locker, that rooster came out after his ass. It was, dude was falling backwards over the bit. It was ugly. And like stuff like that, like people only going to take so much, you know what I mean? And, it gets pretty crazy, but I've seen a lot of crazy stuff that the average person wouldn't think adults were capable of doing to each other. But, a lot of the people in these areas, they haven't really reached adulthood mentally. Physically they're adults, but a lot of people just never grow up. And not to say, that was the problem with this gentleman at with the shootings, but you just never know. Yep. And if no one else has anything, then D, if you want to take us to the next spot.
Okay, a couple of months ago, we shared a story. I don't know if we got to it or not about a Las Vegas police sergeant. They considered him a rogue police sergeant. Well, he was just sentenced for the things he got arrested for. Let's take a look.
You're on video doing things that clearly are, to be kind, inappropriate, and illegal.
Once a leader at the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, today, though, a disgraced sergeant taken away in handcuffs.
Former Sergeant Kenan Menon learning his fate after a contentious court battle involving child sex abuse material, unlawful arrests, and more. We thank you for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm David Charnes.
I'm Denise Valdez. The 8 News Now investigators first to report from Menon's sentencing today. And Vanessa Murphy was there and has much more on the pretty unusual moments that unfolded.
Kevin Menon, once a decorated Metro Police sergeant, now heading to prison for 4 to 10 years for illegal arrests on the Las Vegas Strip and child sex crimes. His criminal cases have had many twists and turns. Menon claiming his fellow officers set him up. Menon saying he's accepting responsibility through a plea deal, but not admitting to committing the crimes in court. And 2 women identified as victims insisting they are not victims.
I take responsibility for these allegations. For any harm I've done, I beg for forgiveness.
Disgraced Las Vegas Metro Police Sergeant Kevin Menon breaks his silence moments before being taken away in handcuffs Monday. His wife and sister-in-law in tears.
This experience has been a deeply personal living nightmare. I am not a victim of my husband. I am a victim of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
In his most recent case, Metro Police say Menon installed cameras in his private bathroom to watch both women use the restroom. That's after his electronic devices like his laptops were taken away. For his second case, police say they found numerous images of child sexual abuse material. And it all started with the first case, where he's accused of leading a team of officers on the Las Vegas Strip, creating fake scenarios to target mainly black men and arrest them. Prosecutors say Menon abused his power even against a fellow officer he shoved. Menon claiming he tried to report racism within the department and was retaliated against. Clark County District Court Judge Ron Israel says the evidence shows otherwise, also expressing frustration with Menon's lack of remorse and disgust at the images detectives found.
It creates a product that causes, in this case, people in Russia to take horrific advantage of children.
Metro telling the 8 News Now investigators Menon separated from the department in June. Monday marks the conclusion of 3 contentious court battles. We spoke with attorneys from both sides.
This was a very difficult case to negotiate. It made no sense to negotiate just one of the 3 cases. We wanted a global resolution.
Are 4 to 10 years enough?
I was trying to strike a balance. On one level, I think some people could look at it and go, no, that's not enough, right? And that's a fair criticism. But at the end of the day, when I've ensured that he has pled to every single type of crime he committed in all 3 of his cases, and he's stipulated to prison time, he is becoming a registered sex offender, which he'll never be able to shed. He'll wear that label for the rest of his life.
Menon would likely be a target in prison for 1, being a police officer, for 2, identified as a child sex predator. His attorney is making an effort to get him moved to a prison outside of Nevada. Reporting in downtown Las Vegas, Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
Very, very interesting. Do we have anyone that has any comments on this? D, Dave?
Yeah.
All right, D, go ahead.
Sorry, Dag. It takes me a minute to get my hand up. Just really quick. This is what should happen. He pled guilty. This is what should happen. We can blame everybody else. The race card gets thrown out there. They set me up. This is what should happen. When you're doing what he was doing, you should be held accountable. What affects me is, why do we start pointing fingers? Now, there's going to be a situation where race is really a problem. You've just affected that situation because you're playing a race card. There's going to be a situation where somebody gets set up. That happens. You played a setup card. Now we're looking at it a little different. That's the only thing that bothers me about this. He pled guilty. That means he's guilty. He accepted 10 years. Now we want to complain that he should be in a safer place. Last thing I'm going to say is, jail ain't supposed to be a nice place. That's what keeps us from wanting to go there. We missed that for some reason. Now let's put them in a nice place. Let's put them in a softer place where nothing can happen to them. You don't do these things so you get put in jail. Am I the only one that this seems strange? Now we got to put him someplace safe to where nothing. What are you talking about? That's jail. Things happen to you in jail. And if you're going to, I would think about the people that he faked the cases on. I would think about the kids that were the pitchers. I don't want to say those words because they affect the algorithm. And his wife and sister-in-law were gung-ho, but he put a camera to watch them both go into the bathroom because he didn't have his laptop computer, so he needed something to do. Go to jail. If that's what you want, go to jail, be on the yard, be in general population. That's where they deal with all of that. That's the point. And I'm talking to our young people that are watching, if we have some, and if anybody can talk to some young people. Jail is not supposed to be a nice place that you go. It's not a vacation place. It's not a place where you go to be taken care of and comfortable. Jail is not a place you should ever want to go to. I'm trying to get my words properly. I don't say nothing. I don't get in trouble. Jail is not a place you should want to go and be taken care of, and my right to be in. No, jail is jail. I was born in the 60s. Jail was jail, a place that I ain't gonna do that. Why? Because I don't want to go to jail. But I think we've got it twisted, and I'm listening to what he was saying at the end. We've got it twisted. I can do all these bad things. I can create everybody in this room havoc in their life, ruin everything, their future. But now you got to take care of me. I'm not that guy. You go to jail, you get what you get in jail. It's what it is.
Well said, D. All right, Dave.
Yeah. Damn good point, D. Schoon. And my thing about it is, they're giving him 4 to 10 years. He'd be out in 4 to 10 years for all of that shit. And it goes to everybody all of our listeners on our panel here, all our listeners out there, our civilians. Every police job in this country, period. I'm just talking about our country. Every police job in our country, you get some real shit animals that get through the process and getting hired. Every one of these jobs, we get some shit that's hired. Okay? There's no perfect job. It ain't going to ever be a perfect job. I don't speak for New York City. At 39,000 cops when I got hired in 87, 39,000 cops, you ain't got no 39,000 angels. You got to believe that. And so, but this 4 to 10 years is bothering me, man. That's all of that shit rolling up on black folks out on the strip and child pornography and putting cameras in bathrooms, watching women undress. Come on, man. 4 to 10, shit, he got a deal. If he could survive for 4 years, I say he good. I'm done. Shit.
Right. Well said, Dave. Jerry?
You're civilian, the only civilian. I'm just sitting there saying, this reminds me of can we talk about Giselle getting sent to a nice little place where she gets to hang out after all the stuff she did to people, and now she gets to be in a cakewalk someplace where life is easy breezy, hanging out with what my girl who stole all the money for that girl, that other person who looked like her, not like me, who embezzled, who ripped a whole lot of people off, and she in that place too. But Giselle, my girl who committed suicide earlier this year as a victim of their whole abuse of children, because she was a child, get to go to a soft touch place. My man's gonna be, no, they need to, it's not supposed to be that easy. It's not supposed to be that nice. It's not supposed to be. I'm sorry. It's not supposed to be.
Jerry,
by the way,
about the CEO of Thanos.
Thank you. Her.
Hey Jerry,
And also
Jerry.
one
By
of
the way, Jerry, they just gave Gazelle, whatever her fucking name is, they just gave her extra security at that new place she's in.
Oh, did they?
Cause
Because you know what? It
this
should be a little
morning,
easier. It should be a little easier for somebody to take her out in that place. But I'm gonna leave that alone too. But they just gave her more security. But anyway.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you. As long as she didn't say anything negative about Trump, there's not going to be anybody looking to take her out.
But we also know she's a liar. She was a liar from day one. So who's to believe anything? Because she's a liar. She's always been a liar. So anyway, but yeah. All she said was she didn't know of anything he did. She didn't say he didn't do nothing. She just said she didn't know, which of course is code and all good. But
right, yeah. All right, Will. You're muted, sir.
So I can completely understand the outrage given the allegations made against him. But I think we all know the way this system works. He had mentioned, or supposedly during the report, it mentioned that he had made a complaint about bias within the department, racism in the department, if I remember correctly. And I know all of us know that it's not far-fetched to see an organization, rather than being exposed, circle the wagons and find somebody to be the fall guy. Now, I don't know if this is that case, but supposedly he had already kind of stirred the barrel by making this allegation that there was a systemic problem within the agency. So that's one question. As far as him getting off light with sentencing, we all know that's what plea bargain does. Because you get in there, now you got some folks, and probably like all of us, I'm gonna carry it with me all the way to the end. If you're going to accuse me of something that I know I didn't do, I'm going all the way to the mat. I'm not trying to admit to anything that I didn't do. And sitting in this chair right now, that's easy for me to say. But if they tell me, and it's looking like the fix is on, and I'm looking at my situation and I'm saying, okay, it's not a matter of if I'm convicted. Truth be exposed now, it's a matter of when. The only question is whether or not I get a conviction as a guilty verdict, which means I'm going to have a much longer sentence, or I take a conviction as a guilty plea in exchange for a lesser sentence. Again, I think all of us sitting here would go to the mat and say, you know what, I'll deal with the consequences, but I'm not going to admit to something that I didn't do. But they are like Mike Tyson says, everybody will say what they will and won't do until they get punched in the mouth, proverbially or actually speaking. So, and when you're sitting at a defense table and they're telling you the difference between 4 to 10 and 25 to life, that 25 to life is a punch straight in the mouth with a fist big enough to blacken your eye, blood in your nose, and bust your lip all in the same time. And when you start factoring that into your head, will it change your mind? Potentially. Now, with regards to them moving him to a different facility, we all know that despite the fact that he's convicted, the system still has a responsibility for his safety for the time that he has to serve his penalty. To the what is the term that they use? Service time. And obviously putting him in an environment where he's come across people that he's interacted with in his official capacity, there's an automatic risk for his safety in that environment. And to keep him there, I think we all know would be an undue violation of against cruel and unusual punishment. Because if you set him up in that environment, the likelihood of him being injured or killed goes up exponentially versus trying to put him in a place where he's a lot less known. Now, granted, he probably still will be found out that not only is he 5'0", but the nature of why he's in there. So he might still be there, but at least the effort will be made to try to protect him while he serves his debt to society.
And then you've got me, the civilian. I ain't sorry for his ass. So sad, too bad. I'm not sorry. He don't need less. He needed all. Children, people.
Well,
He's
I
supposed
understand,
to be, and he's a police officer. Bye-bye.
I understand your point, Jerry, but we've got a president in office that feels that way.
We don't talk about him because he's a criminal too. But anyway.
Well,
sorry.
That's true, but he's got the same mindset about designating certain people and vilifying certain people. And as a result of what he says, they deserve whatever they get. He just was talking about the fact of changing things around to make undocumented immigrants easier to come back to work for farmers, because he said the inner city people won't do the work. Who he talking about when he say inner city?
Black
Who we talking about? Okay.
Not talking about you, right, Jim? Incredible. Yeah. Cheech?
Yeah, I just want to say that what he can do when he gets into the jail is request PC, and he's got to do that on his own, unless the warden thinks that he's going to be a distraction to the whole facility. Then the warden can PC somebody. But PC, you're locked in 23 hours a day. PC is protective custody, Jerry. Protective custody. So you'll be in either by yourself, or you'll be in a dorm that's all PCs that are the same type of crimes. And those sometimes are allowed to come out together because we all know what they all are. But that's his option if he wants to do that.
Excellent. And so that usually there's 3 times that the other prisoners really don't like you. Now, it's not necessary that all of them will get you put into protective custody or solitary confinement, but it's a known fact that the other prisoners don't like child molesters, they don't like rapists, and they do not like cops. And it doesn't have to be a cop that they interacted with. Once they hear or find out, or there's a rumor that you were in law enforcement and you were in a prison, you have problems. And you more than likely need protective custody if you're expected to survive your sentence. And, as far as him accepting the plea deal, like some people may think he accepted the plea deal just because it got him a lesser sentence, but he may be innocent. But we saw the cameras in the bathroom. We saw that, right? They pulled the child porn and child abuse videos off his computer. So, obviously this guy is guilty, and he's guilty of more than one thing. So, if he only does 4 to 10, he should consider himself lucky, no matter how comfortable or uncomfortable the 4 to 10 is. So that's my take on it. Anybody else? No? Dee, do you have another video for us, sir?
Woo, child, I certainly do. A couple of weeks ago, we shared a video where remember the 2, I think they were Army guys, went and got their mother out of ICE custody. Here we are again. I'm going to say something afterwards, but this father of 3 Marines was violently detained by ICE. He's got 3 sons that were Marines, 1 inactive, meaning he retired, and the other 2 were active Marines. Let's take a look.
Immigration officials stepping up their presence all across Southern California. You might remember last month, this violent arrest was captured on camera. You can see agents restraining a 48-year-old man, repeatedly punching him, blood visible on his shirt as he screamed. We've since learned that man is the father of 3 Marines, 2 active Marines, and 1 Marine Corps veteran. CBS News correspondent Adam Yamaguchi reports from outside that detention center where he is being held. Adam, we understand you spoke with the man's son, and he's picking him up now as we speak. Give us an update.
That's right. We did speak to Alejandro Barranco. He's the eldest of Narciso's 3 sons, and he is that former Marine. We spoke with him yesterday. and he was experiencing sort of a mix of emotions. He was both elation, he was feeling elation at the possibility that he would be able to pick up his dad today, as he is about to do. But he was also still visibly frustrated with all that's gone down. He felt as though his father had been racially profiled when he was simply trying to do his job outside that IHOP when he was apprehended by the masked ICE agents. He has spoken to his father throughout this ordeal, and his father had constantly said to him that the one thing that he wanted to do was not only be out, but to go right back to work. But of course, his family has been deeply concerned about his well-being, about the traumatizing impact all of this may have, and also about his physical health. Take a listen.
We want to get him that right medical attention, those exams, make sure he's all good, make sure he wasn't injured like badly, any internal stuff. Yeah.
And what has he said to you about his health?
He says he's in pain. He's still in pain. He has headaches. His shoulder still hurts. His back started hurting. So yeah.
Now, the family says that he had not been offered any medical evaluations during his time inside the detention facilities. This is something that ICE has disputed, and that they have said that he has actually refused their help.
Adam, Mr. Branco was able to post bond, but we know that may not be the case for other people held in immigration detention. What reporting do you have there?
That's right. We have new reporting that the administration has issued a sweeping new directive that eliminates bond hearings for undocumented immigrants who are in deportation proceedings, meaning that they're going to have to be held for the duration of those removal hearings, which could last anywhere from a few months to even years. Now, this is expected to be challenged, and it would be applied to people who've been here for many, many decades. Reed?
Adam Yamaguchi reporting live. We appreciate the conversation our best.
All right. Jim, please proceed.
Yeah, I'm going to make a general statement and comment about this. The police support Trump. The military supports Trump. And Cheech, you agree with this. A lot of Hispanics support Trump. None of them are going to understand that unless their kid or their father is dragged out of a car and beat unmercifully in the street, or the father of a military Hispanic gets manhandled and dragged away by ICE, it's like, doesn't anybody have any common sense? This is the world that we're quickly becoming, where there is no oversight. There is nobody to say, hey, you can't do that. You guys know that I preach this constantly, that in the Trump world, the federal government's oversight is gone. That if you don't have a reasonable attorney general of your state, there are no consequences whatsoever for police brutality or anything else that takes place in the street. It's open season. And it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. Watching that, I had no surprise. It was no surprise to me that took place. 3 sons, all in the military. And I'm not saying those 3 sons support Trump, but the odds are they probably do. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's an interesting view as well. And we know that a lot of Latino men voted for Trump, and they so happen to be Latino men and military. So a lot of Latino men and a lot of military voted for Trump. But it's the chickens are kind of coming home to roost. Next, we have Dave.
Yeah, I thank God his sons were Marines. Because if they weren't, they'll be getting dragged in there too. Okay? That's number one. Number two, Jim, you're spot on. Whatever with what you said, but I'm gonna go really hard here. I'm gonna say black folks have told white folks, Latinos, and every goddamn body else who want these right wingers in there from years back about the Trump family. Okay, I go back to 1972 when Nixon sued his ass when he didn't want black people living in the building. Then he fucking went against Nixon, got kicked out. Him and his daddy went back to doing shit, and then Gerald Ford sued him and won. Okay, Trump. The only thing black and Latino that Trump likes is a fucking celebrity with green. Okay, and that's it. Look at these turncoat rappers. Okay, build their support on, started their careers building on the support of black fans in their neighborhoods. Made it big, made it to stardom, and now what? Trump gonna give me my tax cut. Trump can get me a pardon. Trump can do this for me. I'm gonna hang with that guy. Fuck my people. Okay, and you know, and not only Latinos, it was 57% of white women that voted for Trump. That means there was a lot of Democratic women too. Okay, what the fuck did they think they were gonna get? He told you what he was gonna do. The fucking bastard deported an Iraqi war veteran sergeant his first term. Okay, in his first term. Now he's telling the Cubans, you're no longer a refugee. You get your ass out of here too, down in Miami. You get your ass out of here too. And all they did was vote Republican their whole time here. He doesn't want, this is straight racist bullshit. He doesn't want black and brown in this fucking country, period. Okay? He wants the old fucking, let's go back to the slavery era. But the thing about it is, black folks ain't picking shit. We ain't picking no few. Ain't nobody gonna ride our back unless we bend over. And I got damn none of us on here bending over. Shit, I died first, so I got to bend over for that fucking piece of shit. Okay, but you know what, man? That Marine shit, it didn't mean nothing. Okay, they beat that man's ass in that lot. They bent his shoulders all up like pretzels. Then they're gonna say he didn't want medical attention. That's a damn lie. Okay, and these fucking Ice Ages walk around here. Yeah, I said the P word last week, and I'll say it again today. Pussies walk around here with masks on. Me, everybody on here who was in law enforcement and in the military, we didn't have no fucking masks on when we was out in the shit. We had our name tags showing, faces showing, hats knocked off. They know exactly where we lived, know what we looked at, what we looked like, and for some reason they always knew where we lived, found out where we lived, and we didn't. We stood right there. Right there. And the thing about it, some of these Ice Ages are fucking immigrants. They're immigrants. They're ashamed of themselves. You know they came and look in the mirror at home. Go home and look at the wall instead of a mirror. I'm just tired of this shit, man. I'm tired of this shit. This is what happens. Remember how I stressed voting rights on here? I stressed it. By the way, today's the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. Remember when we had Audie and them on here, I stressed voting rights, everybody, he thought I was an asshole. Oh, you don't need that shit. We don't need that shit. This is what happens. This is what happens when you don't vote or you vote for shit. We get shit, and we get shitted on. I'm done.
All right, next up we have D.
Yeah, really quick. Jim, you absolutely right. This is what's going to happen. It's going to start affecting people. It is affecting people that didn't expect for it to affect them. It's the funniest thing in the world. You're starting to see cracks in the cement, and it's starting to get wider and wider, and people are starting to fall off. And everybody here, and hopefully everybody watching, you have common sense. You know how you have common sense? I'm going to help you. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. Everything is upside down and backwards. So if you realizing it's upside down and backwards, understand you have sense. The bad news is we have 3.5 more years of this. And it's only going to get worse. Dave, you said it right. If you're wearing a mask and you're doing law enforcement, you're a lunch money victim. I'm going to say it. And I'm going to go further by saying, because you got me twisted. I don't like people coming to my door. I don't want nobody walking up to my car. I don't want nobody behind me in line because I don't trust none of y'all. But if you come up and you got a mask on, your lunch money victims, there's a lot of real, actual law enforcement officers out there, both active and retired. You're going to run up on the wrong person. You're going to run up on the wrong person, and then God help you. It's not going to be on the 7 o'clock news. You're not going to have my dad on the floor and his arms twisted up. That's not going to happen. It's going to be another kind of report, a whole nother kind of report. And understanding my job, and I know what you were saying before, Will, and I'm just going to pick on you a little bit. Understanding my job, we were always this much. We were this much from somebody deciding what we did wasn't right. And we accepted that. Not worried about that. Put me on the yard. If I don't make it, I don't want to be here anyway. so I don't understand the problem. I don't want to be here 4 years anyway. So put me on the yard. Put me with a crazy, one of us ain't coming out of here. One of us is not coming out of here. I'm saying that to say these masked, I guess, ICE agents, if you're masked and you come up on me, I don't know who you are. And I'm going to act accordingly. Like we used to say, if you do anything other than I say, I'm going to take it as an act of aggression and I'm going to act accordingly. If you run up on me with a mask on your face, people are going to start acting accordingly. And I want you to understand, when you keep doing this to people, we've seen this before, what's going to happen? They're going to rise up. And if enough of the right kind of people rise up, we've seen little pieces. That one area where the whole neighborhood said no more to the supremacists, the whole neighborhood said no more. That's what's going to happen. If y'all are not going to protect my family, I got no choice but to. And I'm willing to suffer the consequences. I don't know. I've always been willing to suffer the consequences because I try to do what's right. If I do what's right and it might be against the law, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But I know. I lost my father in 1976. That put tears to my eyes as somebody's father, because now all your fathers are my fathers. I don't know if you know that, but that's the way it is. If somebody's father is twisted up like that, that bothers me. I don't know if I'm going to Walmart and I'm going to pick up some Arizona iced tea and I see somebody's father getting twisted like that. I don't know. I might have something to say. And I know myself, I've had something to say when I shouldn't have had something to say, but this might be the day. So just a warning, because we're seeing more and more of this. The world is round. That means whatever you do is going to come back. And it ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. I want you to think about that. It's all fine. You're all swole up. You got your key on, your mask on. But when the rabbit gets the gun, you're going to realize I went too far.
There you go.
Hey,
well,
Tim, Senator King mentioned that the other day. The same thing you just said, D-Schoon. He said they're going to run up on an off-duty cop or a retired officer, and all hell going to break loose in a gun battle. That's what they said. That's what he said.
Hey, it doesn't even necessarily have to be an off-duty cop or a retired officer.
Yeah.
If they didn't mind their manners when they were in Little Haiti and Flatbush, it would have really gone down that way there. But those people scared the shit out of them and they got out of it. So they chose to save their own lives instead of doing what they felt their job was. And I find it interesting also that it's not just the mask for me, though it's the mask as well. What's with all the unnecessary and unwarranted aggression? Why are they trying to beat people up? Like, what's that?
They had a bad cat out there.
Yeah. It's just, they just want to kick some ass. And for the life of me, if it was, and excuse me for saying it, Jim, if they were after a group of white people, they wouldn't be beating them up like this. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And it's going to come to a head, and it's not going to be in their favor. Cheech?
Yeah, I've gotten into a couple of discussions with Latinos regarding this. Civilians have said, well, I have a permit, I have a visa, which are now being taken away, and I've always paid my taxes and haven't gotten into trouble, so I got nothing to worry about. Well, one of those families, nameless, they now do not come out of the house unless they're going to work or to do food shopping because they are afraid, because they see what's going on. Now, law enforcement officers, Latino law enforcement officers that I've spoken with, have told me, hey, we're straight. We don't have nothing to worry about because we're law enforcement. Hello? Not when we leave the house. They don't know that.
Right.
When you get stopped by ICE, they're not going to know anything about you or your life, what you've done, what you haven't done. I tell them that all the time. Outside of uniform, I'm just another Latino on the street.
Right.
And as we saw in the video, you're going to be taken down, probably beaten, and the questions are going to be asked much later.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. I think, like somebody said earlier, until it happens to one of your own family members, then that's when you start understanding what's going on in the real world out there. Then you're going to start understanding what our community is going through right now. And because it doesn't affect a lot of people, they don't get it yet. But they're starting to see it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And even if you're a Latino law enforcement officer and you carry your shield and ID on you off duty, your family doesn't have that shield and ID. And when they get stopped, they won't be able to display anything after the beating. And for the Latino law enforcement officers, like Cheech said, that stuff may not get seen until much later. It may not be revealed until much later. You might have to take the ass whipping first and the ride before they even check your credentials. But your family members won't have that.
That's right.
Yep. Up next, we have Rich.
Yeah, I see this aggression that's going down with ICE, what they're allowed to do. They act with impunity. They hide behind a mask. And when you hide behind a mask, it's very easy to brutalize people and get away with it. And the more they get away with it, the more they brutalize people. You have a father who's complying with being taken into custody, and you got to brutalize him and beat him to the ground and bloody him up and hurt him. Why? But see, they have these Stephen Miller, and they got all these quotas they got to make, and the tactics are changing. I mean, look, they just used some Penske trucks to try to do a Trojan horse deal at Home Depot, where they pull up in a rental truck and jump out the back. They call people for work. These people all want to do a job for the day workers. They call them over to the truck, and then he goes, tells them, hey, go get your friends. I got a big job. He gets his friends, and then they jump out and they arrest them all. It's horrible what they're doing to people. This bait and switch detail is constant with Trump administration. They say they're doing one thing, and they bait people in, and then they change the game. And now it's over the top. There's an overreach, and it's cruelty involved. We see it at all facets of this administration. It's cruelty against people, and mostly people of color. And it's a sad state of affairs, and this is what we're going through. And you see it happening, and you can't rely on any check and balance or oversight to change this. There's no penalty to pay. Now they're trying to. I know the politicians are trying to get this mask thing taken away. I hope they do, because that's gonna personalize and find out who's doing what, and they can't hide behind these masks. So I'm hoping that takes place. I don't know what we're gonna do, but you got to protect yourself. You got to protect your family. So that's all I got.
All right, and we will have 3 more on this subject. It'll be Ty, Will, and then Jim.
I think Jim had his finger up, Jim. You want to say something, Jim, before I go?
Yep.
I only wanted to respond before, but I put it in the chat there for what I was going to say. In other words, Cheech, after they drag the Hispanic officer out of the car, tune him up, and then find out he's a cop, the cover up will immediately begin. You never identified yourself. You resisted arrest, and that's why you got your beaten. So it's going to be they're going to find out it's a no win for them all the way around.
Hey, Derek,
Yes.
I'm going to read the comments real quick.
Uh-huh.
Donald Coleman said, this term for Trump is his money train years. He's just trying to make as much money as he can, and his cronies are going with him as far as he will carry them. He doesn't care about this country, only what he can get out of his hopefully last term. Correct? Karen Caffey said, they are performing for the boss and assistant boss. David Van Cleve said, hate and fear do not operate out of logic and compassion. And Karen said, the Cuban community thought so too, but now they are no longer looked at as white. That's correct. The Cuban community regrets where their vote went.
Right. And I disagree with it only being about the money. And it is largely about money, but it's about power. Because if you're just after the money, you're not abusing people. You want to abuse races of people. And it started when he was campaigning, when he was bad-mouthing the Haitians. And now they're flat out physically abusing Latinos. So it's not just about money. And if it was just about money, he wouldn't be trying to get Latinos out of here because Latinos produce a lot of money for this country. So it's both. It's about power and money. It's about them being the master race and gaining wealth. To me, anyway. Will? I'm sorry, Ty was up first. Ty was up next. Yes.
Two things very quickly, at the risk of sounding extremely callous, and Cheech being the only Hispanic on the call. You know my heart about Hispanics. I love everyone, but it's hard for me to feel bad, although it's egregious and horrifying and horrible what's going on. I look at it with a margin because you had a choice and you made your choice. And it's not like you weren't aware. You were told repeatedly what's going to happen, repeatedly, on every stage possible. And if you are not wise enough to at least adhere to what could possibly happen, you know, it's hard for me, when I watch it, it's hard for me to feel awfully bad. I mean, it's terrible. It's awful. On prima facie value, it's terrible. But it is what it is. You brought that upon yourself. And I'm waiting, Derek Williams, for the news to come on where 3 ICE members were shot in the face dead, and the cop is sitting there with his legs crossed, with his weapon emptied, and sitting there saying, with his badge saying, I thought I was being robbed. I used amount of force reasonable necessary to protect my life. That's going to happen. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. That's it for me.
All right. Will.
What we are seeing, one humble man's opinion, is the original creed that established this country. And y'all have heard me make reference to this before, but this circumstance bears out to bring this to light again. Before we had organized law enforcement in this country, we had a law enforcement official, and when he needed additional bodies, he didn't vet anybody. He went and got more people that looked like him. Y'all know what I'm talking about the slave patrols. They didn't have any training. The only thing that they had in common was a specific target to hate and to exert their bias. Now, these individuals that we keep seeing coming up doing what they do with these ICE patrols and whatnot, somebody correct me if they feel like I'm wrong, but when you see individuals in those capacities and their only solution is violence, that's usually an indicator of poor training. Either poor training and or it's already bias-based. Now you throw in the mask with that, y'all, I'm here to tell you, if we could ever get to the bottom of it, I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that a lot of those folks ain't even law enforcement. They got somehow deputized or brought in, which is why you cannot afford to let their identities be revealed. I guarantee you a lot of them might actually be some of these January 6 folks from the Proud Boys and these other militia groups. I guarantee you. Now, we mentioned earlier about certain groups, whether it be law enforcement, military, but certain enforcement groups that probably supported or 10 toes down for this current administration and their agenda. Anybody remember how you felt as an officer when you heard about all the pardons for these individuals from January the 6th?
Yeah.
I don't care where your political affiliation lies. If you were a police officer, you had a problem with that on some level. And then they doubled down on it. And as a police officer, protecting yourself or other people from an imminent threat of harm or deadly force, this lady who is one of the insurrectionists gets shot and killed, and this administration gives her family $5 million? $5. And from a law enforcement standpoint, they're like, well, wait a minute. You're going to pardon these folks and try to say that you're for us? What did he turn around and do? It wasn't several weeks later. The officers in D.C. that had been federally convicted for the gentleman in the back of that transport vehicle that they failed to properly secure, and they were checking him, brake checking him and whatnot, and he wound up, did he die? I know he had a broken neck. I can't remember if he died. But what he wound up doing?
He died. That was Freddie Gray. That was in Baltimore.
Exactly. What did he wind up doing? Giving those officers a pardon to return favor from the law enforcement community. So this is what I'm seeing happening. And like D was saying, sooner or later, they're going to roll up on the wrong one. And sadly enough, it's going to turn into a bloodbath. And like D said, and I'm right there with you, bro. If it get down to it and that's the way I got to go, then que sera, sera.
I understand that. And I don't know, pertaining to like the violence of the ICE officers. Does anyone remember Stephen Miller's line during the campaign? They had the commercials and he was saying there was going to be a revolution. Does anyone remember what his line was? He said, the revolution will remain bloodless if the left allows it to, right? So the left hasn't done anything, but there's blood on their hands already. So, like they are purposely doing things. I don't know whether it's just to show how powerful they are or to combine that with getting a rise, but things are going to get ugly. And, it's not just going to be the people that are getting arrested getting hurt. It's going to get ugly. It's only a matter of time. It's coming. So, yeah. Anyone else have anything? D, we have about 8 minutes left.
I got a good way to end us.
All right.
Well, first of all, hey, Will.
I'm your huckleberry.
That's for you. This next one, there was a heroic teenager that saved 3 girls and a police officer from a sinking car. I thought that'd be a good way for us to end today and kind of cover all the bases of the things we've been talking about. Let's take a look.
So this is an incredible story. A Mississippi teenager being hailed a hero after saving 4 people, including a police officer, from drowning in the Pascagoula River last weekend. It happened after a car with 3 teenage girls inside drove off the I-10 boat launch, plunging into the water. 16-year-old Corian Evans saw the car begin to sink and quickly jumped into action. One of the survivors talked about this terrifying ordeal that nearly took her life.
I knew my last breath was coming, and so I just let my phone down, and then I was just like this, like trying to stay calm and stay over water. When I tell you, right before my last time going underwater, that was gonna be my last time going underwater. Gloria had grabbed me
And I was right there looking at it, so I couldn't just watch nobody die. Even when I seen a police officer, I couldn't just sit there and watch nobody die.
And Corian is joining me now. Oh my gosh, Corian, how incredible that you were there in the right place at the right time to help these girls to save their life and the life of a police officer. What happened? Take me there.
Yeah, it was a crazy night. It was after a party, and we usually have a place that we go, but that had got shut down. So we were like, we're just gonna go under the bridge because it's like a boat launch. It's room for parking, you know, so we could just go out there and have a good time. So it was getting late. We were getting ready to leave, and so I got in my car and I was getting ready to pull off, and I seen another car pull off behind me, and I seen them drive in a direction towards the water. And I'm like, but the street is towards that way. Why are they going towards the water? So I'm watching them, and going into the water is like a ramp going down into it. And so I'm watching them, and as I'm watching the car, I see the car drive straight down the ramp. And I'm like, I'm a little confused. I'm like, I know they're gonna I'm thinking they're about to get ready to come back up or reverse back up. But then I seen people run over there. And so I got out of my car. And so when I started running over there, I started hearing people yelling help. So then that's when I like sped up my running. I heard people saying help. And I got over there and I ran and I seen them in the water. They're all in the water. I see the cars under the water, and I just see them screaming help. And when I first seen them, I was like in shock. I was like, no way this is really happening. But then I had to snap out of it quick. And so I just took my shoes off. And I took my shirt off and I threw my phone out of my pocket, and I just jumped in the water. And at first I got the girl that was closest to me, and I grabbed her and I had to swim her back to shore. I gave her to somebody that was at shore, and then it was still two girls that was also in the water. So then I had to swim from shore and go back out into the water. There was about 20 feet out there. I had to go back into the water and go get the other girls. They were still, and one of them was in the water panicking a lot, but some of the car was still above the water, like the front windshield and like kind of the top of the roof. So I had to go back out there in the water, and the girl that was panicking, I had to get her, and I'm swimming her. I'm like, come on, let's go get back to the car. Just calm down, catch your breath. And the other girl, she didn't know how to swim, but she knows how to like keep her head above water and tread water, so she won't go under. So I'm telling them, like, come on, let's get on top of the car. Just calm down. She's still panicking. And that's when the Officer Mercer arrived. And when he arrived, he swam out there to us. We were still sitting on top of the car. He swam out there to us. And he was telling her, the girl right there, he was telling her, like, I got you. We're going to be okay. We're going to make it back. I got you. And she got on his back, and when he tried to swim, from her panicking, she also started taking him under. And so he was going under, trying to come back up. He was swallowing a lot of water. And so he was telling her, like, I can't keep going. I can't. He was swallowing a lot of water. He couldn't breathe. You know, he had on his gear. He couldn't breathe. So that's when I had to jump off top of the car, and I had to go and help them. Like, I was behind them, trying to keep them both above water and like push them forward towards shore at the same time. The officer and the girl, I was trying to do it with both of them. And so I'm knowing that the girl can't swim and she was panicking. So I started mainly focusing on the girl. So I started focusing on the girl, trying to help her get to shore like faster, because I know she can't swim. And so I got close to the shore. I felt myself I could walk. Like when I felt my feet touching the ground, that's when I like just gave her to somebody for it. I was like, here, get her. And behind, I turn around and I see the officer. He's drowning. He's like going underwater. He's like gasping for air. He's trying to stay above water. He starts struggling to stay above the water. So that's when I had to leave again, and then I had to go and grab the officer and bring him back to the shore. And when he got there, he couldn't breathe. He was laying on the ground. He was throwing up. Like the officer was really about to drown. And yeah, that was all. They made it back.
Corian, I'm glad you ate your Wheaties that morning, and you have some Good parents that raised you, doing the right thing there and teaching you how to swim as well, knowing how to rescue these people and doing the right thing and jumping in the water at the right time to get them out. We are blessed to have you in this world, and those girls are blessed that you were there at the right place at the right time. Thank you for taking us through.
Right, that was great, and I know, you know, for the people out there that are looking, I know a lot of the people that watch us are not super young people. But for the people out there that grow up in urban communities, there's a lot of people that live in urban communities that do not know how to swim. It is a super, super important deal to do whatever you can to try to learn how to swim. I mean, if not for fun, just for the fact that one day you may be able to save your own life. And that's it. And we have Ty, and we have Mark and D. Ty?
I just want to say, man, that's something you can't teach. What that young man did, and the way he performed, and the way he went back in the water and back in the water, you can't teach that. That's something that you're born with, and you have that in you, and it's just the way it is. That's an amazing story, man.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody ain't cut like that.
No, not even close. Mark?
Yeah, you touched on a good point, Derek. Parents, grandparents, teach your kids, teach your grandkids how to swim. You know, my oldest grandson lives with me. Took him to safety swim. They even give you a law enforcement discount. But he ran the whole thing. He became a master swimmer, and then he got certified as a lifeguard. So I was just on a cruise. We were out snorkeling. He went far beyond where I could go, and he left me in the dust. And I didn't have to worry about him because I knew he was such a strong swimmer. So if you love your grandkids and your kids, make sure, especially minorities, because unfortunately minority kids don't always have the access to learn how to swim. So get them those lessons. It could be the difference between life and death.
Well said. D?
Just want to say something really quick. To those people that don't want certain people here, I started taking it down, and I didn't do this when I first got the video, but the amount of times that young man said I had to. He was he was telling his story. It wasn't rehearsed. He said he had to. And I got a question to some of our voters and some of the people that don't want people here. How do you hate that? Explain to me how you look in that kid's face or anybody that looks like him and you hate. Those Mexican rescuers that came over, didn't care about the border patrol, didn't care about anything. They came over here because there was kids up there. And we got to save them kids. I need you to get somewhere in your private bathroom, in your car, and ask yourself, how do you hate that? How do you not want them to be here? How are they not a necessary part of our community? That police officer, I would love to have a one-on-one conversation to hear how he used to think and what he thinks about now. You see, the sad thing is it takes a major incident with you to make you change. I can listen to this kid's story and that changed me. I'm saying to myself, if I was a hater and I hated people that look like him, I listened to that story and the way he tells that story and he talks about what he had to do and he talked about he was in it like they were. He didn't know none of those people. I'm going to tell you that officer may or may not have liked him, and we do that in our job. Some people we save, they may or may not like us. But we do what has to be done. And when you ask that kid and you ask certain people, why did you do it? He said it needed to be done. That's the only thing he was worried about. And say to yourself, and you know who I'm talking to, how do I hate that? How do I not want that here?
All right. We have Cheech coming up, and then we will be signing off.
Yeah, that kid's a hero, 100%. Because to be able to save somebody from drowning, you have to be a strong swimmer. I wouldn't be able to do it. I know it. I would be that officer that person is going to take you down with them. A person that can't swim and is drowning, their movements take you down with them. So that is very dangerous if you're not a strong swimmer. My other part of this observation that I made, D, was there a video of the actual him saving all these?
I didn't see it, but
kids?
I'll find it. I will find it.
No. I'm glad there's no video. You know why? He said that every time he went back, he was handing them off to someone, right? Once he was able to walk. That means there was other people there that instead of filming were also in the water helping. And that I like to see. No video. That's great because that means that you were getting involved instead of standing there. Oh, look, they're drowning.
Exactly.
Look, water's going underwater, dumbass. No. They did the right thing.
Good point, Cheech.
Good point. Good point.
Excellent
point.
All right. Well, that concludes our show. Everyone did a great job, great opinions, great assessments. Glad that me and all of us could be a part of this. And we will be signing off, folks. All right.